At about this time 2 years ago, a demolition exercise was carried out at the trade fair premises for its expansion work. A lot of the businesses that used to operate in the buildings that were pulled down said they were not given sufficient notice, an argument that the trade fair strongly rebutted, claiming that it gave them sufficient time to move out. A lot of businesses lost their wares in the exercise. Since the exercise was carried out, this is what is left. Nothing has been done, nothing has changed really since the exercise was carried out, and it just gets one wondering why the demolition was carried out with such intensity and urgency when 2 years down the lane no work has commenced for the supposed expansion work that the Trade Fair Center had planned to do. As you can see, there's really nobody on site, weeds growing all around. Nobody at post, just a few security men we saw at the entrance, but apart from that, there's absolutely no sign of any activity whatsoever going on here. A place that ordinarily would have been premises for a number of businesses who are running their operations from here, but then the place was pulled down because the trade fair had stated that it had plans to carry out some expansion works. Management of Trade Fair also indicated that it had given owners of the businesses that operated there a prior notice to evacuate or quit the place so that the demolition exercise can be carried out. Now, from previous reports that we had done on this particular story, a number of the businesses had said that they weren't able to take out most of their stuff, so it was lost in all. Most of them were lost in the entire exercise when the bulldozers came around and pulled down everything. We'll bring you a video from that event where my colleague Hansen Ajiman interacted with some of the business owners.
Office items were trapped under the debris from the demolished buildings. Angry workers of the companies were packing what they could salvage. Their source of livelihood appears to have been destroyed. A company like Madeco Horizon Ventures had operated in that space for more than 2 decades. The worried workers could therefore not understand why there wasn't ample notice prior to the demolition.
Everything was locked there before we left this place on Friday. So everything was inside. A photocopier, a whole lot. School feeding items like oil, we have oil, mackerel, laptops, everything now, scanners, chairs. Like in this office, we have a board room fully furnished with we have, my boss used to have his meeting and all those air conditioners, everything.
At Color Planet Limited, owned by journalist Raymond Archer, some of the machines were demolished by excavators. Other companies had a hard time retrieving their items. One of the companies, West Africa Construction and Commodities Limited, had to hire an excavator to create a pathway to enable its workers retrieve some of the items logged in the offices. This is the second reported demolition at the Trade Fair Center. The first happened in 2019 after authorities of the Ghana Trade Fair Company made known plans to redevelop the center to make it a modern first-class facility. The demolition halted after the affected companies secured an injunction restraining Trade Fair Company Limited from carrying out the exercise. But this ruling was overturned on Wednesday, February 12th this year by a high court in Accra, following an application by the Ghana Trade Fair Company. Lawyers for the Trade Fair Company argued that the injunction had stalled certain developmental projects. The judge, while granting the application, stated that the continuous stay of the companies on the land is causing financial loss to the state. The affected companies have so far filed an appeal against the ruling as well as a stay of execution, which are yet to be heard. While they pack out, they await the result of a substantive case in which they are demanding, among other things, their inclusion in the redevelopment plan by the company.
Our demand was very simple. What we were saying is, if at least they want to do redevelopment, all they have to do is to sit down with us and then they can fuse us in that, okay, this is what we are doing, so at least after this we can just place you guys at that one place. Or if you guys want to still move us out over this place, all we have to do is very simple. Then compensate that so that we can leave. So that's what that's our two requests that we put in front of. But rather unfortunately, this is Ghana, so we lost the case, and then none of this came about. So that's it.
Management of the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited was unavailable for comments on the matter. However, some documents available to City News suggest that the company, in its terms of conditions while engaging one of the companies in 2014, disclosed that there was a master plan for the center which would involve the demolition of structures. The company was thus advised to use materials that can be easily demolished. The document also included an agreement that the tenant vacates peacefully upon the expiration of the term granted or when the premises is needed for redevelopment. Meanwhile, some workers of the affected companies believe there's no justifiable reason for the demolition.
Just imagine if that man should be your father and he has a property which you are relying on that property and they collapse it. I mean, will you be happy? We are all human.
And we forgot that it's somebody who created us. Or we brought ourselves to this earth. Or this earth belongs to one person. So he or she will do whatever she likes or he wants.
So far, per our interactions with persons on the premises, we've gathered that there are just 3 businesses that are still on the facility. And the buildings that are still left here out of the lot, they either belong to the trade fair company or just a wooden structure put up by a private person. And so far, out of the 3 businesses that we've interacted with, we know for certain that 2 of them are making plans to leave the place. Now, the other business which we do not know its fate yet is the Fantasy Dome right at the far end. They have a barricade around their premises. We'll try and go closer and bring you some footages from there also. We've come to the Trade Fair Center and then we've just met some people who are currently on the premises. We'll find out from them what they are doing here and probably what they know of the demolition that carried out here some years ago.
You turn latic post. Well, you just say latic post. Your company no so no gusu but it no ade ha je say you tuya no aha no ke say payment no kuramba form but say they are increment no mo ye first net 600 say 100 million titisika no
every month.
How
the account?
But also you dey no ke dan papa nkombabu ba say wooden structure antino
anti mo dey need dua esi ho
na say on depot
no mo na mo see ya na say trade for 4 there
yeah na see ye oh yeah na see ye na you no down ho kra no mutu ye ba ha no
nti sa fit sa 2 years and then potene koso ha say
oh shi nkoso masa entuntum ano ba wi shi nkoso then e wo shi nkoso
ansa no be boot anyom yanka by this time ya ba ha nka then e koso ha
anka kama mo ba na mo ni go ase wo say anyanye wahu na nka mo ba no e be nice na high fine obi anye kakra ye dey sabe e hye ne botu
mo da so ha em so mo adwuma te sen
anye say I'm funny say last week mbato Paul me sa basa unhusu but payment in the bebusu wa ya obatu ya
then na man asesa sa
but wow ni say Ghana dey be sa na tie politics no na di shem na say kese o munye ni sa o metimi kan ko mo dimi kokura ba bia mbatimaka
nti nyoma nkoye no so wa pay ni yate so
oh mata abadura ikura on dan na si ho no me hwe michi dan fan bi si ho o na o me ya dwuma ma na fi me nura me fra no se on pe obi mbra se me ho de se krofo aha gate no se atakoro dem krofo wuro ma night basa ohu on tua mika na dan ntakwa this month kwa me jai but no nye permanent work me na me hwe suma no kenye mi anka mo awie ne nyema no nyina.
2 years since the exercise, not much has happened here. The facility is basically just as it was left after a number of these buildings were pulled down. But as you can see also, there's really not much happening here, apart from this gentleman who claims that they do some electric pole work here. They sell electric poles, according to him. But you can see nothing really happening. A place that used to be a very busy area where a lot of business was carried out suddenly is desolate. Get closer and see if there's anybody in here we can possibly talk to. Oh, it's locked. It's locked. The louvers are closed and very dirty, creating the impression that not much has happened here in quite a while. These windows are open. I'm not sure what's happening there. Let me see if we can go around here. And not much happening here either. A lot of weeds around here. Okay, so we see a bit of the electric poles that the gentleman spoke about. Okay, electric poles over there. I'm sure those are the ones that he mentioned that they were working on. Now, interestingly, these look like signposts. The ones you normally see in town. I'm not too sure. But they've been here, and it looks, from how it looks, literally abandoned. Probably, maybe some of the people who worked here used to store their things here. But as you can see, it's clear mess. Nothing much left of it. And you can see it literally going waste. And it's the weeds again. See, it's so much weeds all over. It looks almost like a bush of a sort. But no much activity. Okay, so the building here too was also pulled down. You can see that it's down. So one of the businesses that are still operational here is the Fantasy Dome, as you can see inside there. But clearly the inactivity in this area will one way or the other have some impact on them. Clearly, who would want to have organize an event in a place that looks almost desolate? And probably, I'm sure that it has one way or the other affected the managers of the Fantasy Dome. The place is pretty locked too. Doesn't seem like much is happening in here. There's a padlock in there. It's locked, but if you look in the facility, not much is happening in the place, and very few people around. So 2 years down the lane, we interacted with some businesses to find out how they were faring since the demolition exercise that occurred at the premises of the Trade Fair Center as part of their expansion works program.
Inside the Trade Fair was a workshop. So we normally do total repairs over there. But we have a shop, one at Medina and one at Chado. So then we decided to take the items over there. So because of the demolition, then we have to quit the repairs aspect. So now we're concentrating on the sales, mainly sales. We don't do, the only repair we do is normally, unless you buy the laptop or anything from us, then you have an issue, we can do that repairs for you.
What was the contribution of the repair works to your earnings, and how has that affected you?
So the repair side, at least you use it to, you at least a day, maybe you're making like 500 Ghana a day for the repairs. But and then you can put it down at least to pay the boys or one of your electricity bills and other things. You understand? Yes, the repair was fetching us a lot.
2 years, how do you think business would have been for you if you were still operating here?
At least if you are making, let's say, every month you are making like, let's say, 4,000, 5,000 inside the trade fair, it adds up to something over to the one at Chado and the one at Medina. You understand? So I would say every month we are losing like, let's say, 5,000, even beyond. That's what I would say, even beyond.
After you left here, have there been attempts to come back? We know there was a lawsuit, you were challenging their decision. How far has that gone?
Okay, so that one I would say it's not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible because now, as we speak now, there is not even a single person inside the trade fair. And you can't even tempt to come, you understand? You can't even tempt to come because even the administration block itself had been pulled down. So what are you going to do over there? The only thing left over there is the reptiles.
If you have abandoned the pursuit to be back at the trade fair, then what happened to the lawsuit?
The lawyer himself told us that, hey, you guys are fighting with the government and it's not easy to win the government. This is Africa, you understand? It's not easy to win the government. So I think the lawyer said something that, hey, if you guys think you're going to win, then come and do your payment. Because the lawyer is also there to take his money. This is Africa. He's not thinking about us. He's just thinking about what he's going to make. So if whether he wins or he doesn't win, we have paid him. We've paid almost about 30,000, if I'm not mistaken. You understand? I think that was the initial payment plus some other stuff that we pay. And we knew from what he was saying, we knew we were going to lose. So we decided, okay, then let's just give up. So we did not even pursue anything again. That's it.
Did you withdraw the case or you just stopped following the case?
We just stopped following it. Simple. We just stopped following because we realized that we were fetching water in a basket. That's it.
We've come to the office of the Member of Parliament for La Dade Kotopon, Rita now Dole Soa. It's under her constituency that the trade fair falls under. We'll pick her thoughts on what she makes of the development there at the trade fair.
I'm looking at the trade fair when we consider its previous state. You know, people had their businesses there. The people of Dade Kotopon also applied their trade there. And so it has completely shut people's businesses and then people's source of livelihood. As we speak now, when you go there, it's now turning into a forest, I should put it in quotes. And we need to know what the authorities, because the trade fair has a chief executive, we need to know what plans they have for the trade fair. If care is not taken, it will start breeding wild animals, and at the end of the day, they'll go into the communities to attack the people. And so I believe something has to be done about it.
Can you tell us if you've made any efforts in the current situation?
I also spoke to my traditional leaders, and they made me aware that a committee has been set. And so for me, the land belongs to the traditional authorities and the people of La. So if my traditional leaders have said there's a committee that has been set, and they asked me to await the results of or the outcome of the committee's sittings. So I'm awaiting that. But while we are awaiting that, something has to be done about the place. The Trade Fair Authority should make sure that they clear the place so that it will be safe for the people.
Do you have any plans of probably hauling the board before Parliament to answer questions on why 2 years down the lane they haven't started?
I would consider that.
You just heard there from the MP for La Dade Kotopon expressing her dissatisfaction with the current issue. In our effort to get answers, we reached out to the management of the Trade Fair Company Limited, and they declined to comment.